Hi, it's Vablonsky. Today I'm visiting a unique place, one that serves plant-based food. It's vegan, and most of the items are Asian-inspired. Vietnamese, Japanese. It's a place that's pure and glorious, as you'll find out. Come along, let's visit St. Veg. Okay, I'm going to dive right into the food, but let me just say a few things about this place, St. Veg. It is vegan, everything is plant-based, even the containers. That's what the clerk told me, the cashier who was taking my order. And the owner is Vietnamese, so the menu has some Asian-inspired items on it, some Vietnamese-inspired items, and I'll show you those items in a moment. But let me start with a clearly Japanese-inspired item. It is the katsu curry bowl. And katsu curry usually has a fried pork cutlet. This one has a lentil cutlet. I don't know what the curry is made of. Let me just take a look. Well, actually, I don't know what the curry is made out of. It could just be straight up curry. It's called house gravy on the menu, however. I don't know exactly what that means. But look at the cutlet. It looks the part, as I said. If you look into the interior, it does have a kind of grainy look to it. Oh man. Oh wow. Wow. Actually, the cutlet, you're not going to confuse it for meat. It doesn't have the texture of mock meat. It doesn't have the texture of those popular processed mock meats, those vegan meats that are popular today. And in fact, they take pride at St. Veg in the fact that they don't serve mock meats. It's plant-based, and they don't, try to shape it or to adulterate it and make it taste like meat or behave like meat. It has a very grainy texture because it's made out of lentils. And in fact, you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you're familiar with those taro puffs that they serve at Cantonese or Chinese dim sum brunch. If you go yum cha or if you go to dim sum brunch, that's what it reminds me of. It has that kind of, very delicate crispiness on the outside, and then that kind of pasty graininess on the inside. That house gravy or curry sauce, it isn't boldly flavored. It's not a robust curry. Japanese curry isn't as robust, as say Indian curry or Jamaican curry or something like that. Before I headed over to St. Veg, I did look up if there was a patron saint of vegetables. I looked it up online, and apparently there are two men who might fit that description. I jotted it down. Let me look at it. There's a man, an English Benedictine monk who lived in the 700s AD, who is considered the patron saint of vegetable gardens, a Saint Werenfried. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And there's a Saint Fiacre. I don't know if I said that correctly, but he's an Irish priest and a hermit from the 600s AD, and he's the patron saint of gardeners and vegetable gardeners. So I don't know if it's the Saint Veg is in reference to Saint Werenfried or Saint Fiacre. I don't know. It could be that it doesn't reference either one of these two men. I asked the gentleman who was taking my order And he didn't know. He thought maybe that the Saint Veg was just some sort of like a universal kind of sentiment in reference to the kind of holiness or the holiness and the kind of pureness, as it were, of eating vegan food, the specialness of it, as it were. It's kind of a spiritual kind of practice if you really take it seriously, and it is a very serious matter for the owner. I mean, she takes what she's doing at Saint Veg very seriously, and it's close to her heart. So maybe it's Saint Veg in that way. But anyway, there are two men who could be the patron saint of vegetables. I did order a appetizer. I think they call it the flower bites. Cauliflower nuggets, basically what it amounts to. From what cuisine did they take inspiration for this dish? I can't really think of if it's Japanese or Chinese or Vietnamese. I think it's just straight up creative vegan food is what it is. If you can take a look at it, it has a very nice golden kind of robust looking florets of cauliflower. Nice and crispy looking. Let me poke a piece and try one out. Whoa. Wow. Wow. That is marvelous, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. That is delicious. Wow. Not only is that batter flavorful, but it is very crispy, and these florets are really fresh. And the hardness of the cauliflower has been tamped down because it was fried in that hot oil. I think they use avocado oil too. They don't use seed oils. They promote avocado oil at this restaurant, and being fried. I'm sure it's not that long, but it's just tender to the point of perfection. It's not mushy, so they have just nailed the texture of this cauliflower. Wow. It is so, wow, it is so freaking delicious. And the cauliflower does come with a choice of dipping sauce, and they highly recommend something called gold sauce. It has a yellowish complexion. I think it has mustard and some sort of vegan mayo, and it's kind of all combined. And so, let me just dip it. Wow. So it's kind of mustardy and slightly sweet. It's kind of like honey mustard is what it is. Wow. That's delicious sauce and delicious cauliflower. Oh my God, what a combination. They have made this vegetable into something special. Wow. It tastes great with that sauce, that gold sauce, but when you eat it by itself, these little florets by itself, there's a nice saltiness that comes through. It's kind of tamped down by the sauce. So you get the crunch and the saltiness of it, which is really nice if you don't use the sauce. I'm not saying the sauce is bad. It tastes great both ways, but the crispiness and the saltiness of it is really nice. Okay, the next item is their signature sandwich offering, and it's a banh mi of sorts. Clearly, that's the inspiration for this dish. It is, I think it's called, what is it called? Let me look at the menu real quick. It's, Flavor Bomb Pho Dip is what it's called. So it's a banh mi, and the filling inside inside the bread or this baguette is portobello mushrooms, and it has a barbecue sauce in it, and a chimichurri. That's what it says on the menu, and you're supposed to dip it in a container of pho broth. So it's like a French dip, I guess. You dip it in the accompanying container of broth, or you can just drink it straight up. The broth, I mean, you could just chase the sandwich with sips of broth. Ooh, oh, here's the sandwich. I think they use their own bread. In other words, they make their own bread. I think it's a gluten-free baguette loaf, and it's just packed with portobellos, and it has a slight grilled look on the exterior, on the bottom of this bread, anyway. Whoa! Wow! Wow! That is a substantive sandwich. Wow! Those strips of portobello are nice and hearty and substantial. I mean, it's basically like strips of I was going to say strips of steak. It is very robust. Wow. Okay, I opened the sandwich up, and I can see clearly the portobello's, obviously, and it's lathered and it has a saucy look from the barbecue sauce and the chimichurri. But you can see the bean sprouts and the scallions kind of poking out underneath the mushrooms. And the sandwich, or this half of the sandwich, is nicely eaten. So I got about a quarter of the sandwich left in my hand. So it's a good time now to try the dip into the pho broth. Before I do that, let me just take a sip of the pho broth and see if I can decipher what's going on with it. Ooh, ooh. Got a lot of stuff floating on the surface of this thing. A lot of greenery. I can see, ooh, scallions and looks like cilantro floating on top. Wow. Oh, let me get a spoon and kind of agitate it a little bit. But yeah, it has a nice kind of amber color that you see from pho broth usually, and this is meatless, so I don't know what they use to make the broth, in place of the normal beef bones. But it has a nice pho flavor actually. Yeah, it has a sweetness like most pho broths, and it's good. Ooh, here it is. I must say, when I was drinking the broth earlier, I liked it, and it doesn't come across as well when you dip it. In other words, the flavor of the mushrooms and the barbecue sauce and the bread, it doesn't really capture the flavor of the broth. In other words, the broth really doesn't do a whole lot. It seems like a better combination to eat the bread and then eat the sandwich, I mean, and then just sip the broth and chase the sandwich with the broth. That way the broth comes across nice and robust, and you can appreciate the broth for what it is when you dip it. I mean, when I dipped it, it didn't really enhance the sandwich that much. Okay, Saint Veg also makes their own desserts, and I think what's probably the most popular one there. It is their apple pie. It comes with seasonal apples. It is caramelized, these apples, with coconut sugar, and oh, here it is. Here's the apple pie. You could maybe call it an apple turnover, maybe, if you wanted to. It kind of reminds me of that McDonald's apple pie. I'm sure you're familiar with that. It has that kind of look to it. It is nice and brown, though. It's baked to perfection. Let me try this. Oh man, wow. That is. I got mostly just the crust, but the crust itself is so flaky, and it is nice. Wow, that is really good. Okay, in that second bite, I got the filling, and it's nice and apple flavored. It tastes fresh, and it has a nice sweetness to it, but it's not as sweet. Say if you got a McDonald's apple pie, it's not that sweet. It's a more kind of rounded, gentle sweetness. This is really good. And I think it's more rounded and gentle because you don't have that kind of processed refined sugar in this pie that you would have in the McDonald's apple pie. Wow. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me as I visited St. Veg here in Rockville, Maryland. Now I'm going to finish up my food and move on. Please leave a comment in the comments section with any thought you might have. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And please consider subscribing to my channel if you enjoyed today's episode. I'll catch you on my next food adventure. Take care for now. Bye-bye.